Hey everybody, I'm Joel Stottlemyre. I'm here in my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots to talk about Dryden Nightmares. This is an open call for authors to participate in a book anthology. I don't think we know the name of the book anthology, but it's Dryden Nightmares. I have with me tonight Eugene Kelly III and Damian Rocha. Hi guys.
Hi.
And Damien and Eugene are both folks who have worked with Dryden before and are eager to participate in the Nightmares project. So let me give you sort of a quick introduction to who we are at the Dryden Experiment and what we're doing, and then we'll have Damien and Eugene talk specifically about the project that we are working on right now. The Dryden Experiment is a Creative Commons publishing concept. Rather than wait to be discovered or get an agent or find somebody who will buy our rights and then own them and we don't own them anymore, what we at Dryden do is we work cooperatively to build fiction environments. And we place those environments under the Creative Commons BYSA 4.0 license so that anybody else who is also interested in that genre can come in and participate and use our materials, and then we all cross-promote each other. So for example, the very first universe that we set up, the very first environment we set up was a science fiction environment. We built faster than light travel rules. We built planetary systems. We built corporations. We built alien species. And we put it all under the Creative Commons. And what the Creative Commons 4.0 says is that you're free to use it. You don't have to pay us for it. All you have to do is you have to credit the specific individual if you can, and if not, then Dryden. And you have to place your materials under Creative Commons also. So all of those materials that we set out there for the science fiction universe were made available to anybody who would like to work on them. And we've had, I don't know, 20, 25 authors and artists participate in that science fiction universe. We have a novel by Dan C. Hunt published through iUniverse. We have a novel and a novella published by Greta van der Rohe in Australia. I don't know who she publishes through, but it's set in that environment. I have a book set in that environment. Eugene and Damien are both a part of a project that's building a specific event in history out of that project, and we're currently kickstarting the role-playing game that was built by Owlman Press, all in that same environment. So all of us who have come together to participate in that environment are dealing with this just massive universe at this point. It's just enormous. And we're dealing with much more marketing reach than any one of us could ever be capable of. We cross-promote each other. We support each other. We get together on the Google Hangouts at 1 o'clock in the morning and commiserate about the miseries in our lives. I mean, we are really there as a team, even though each one of us is still very independent and very capable of making independent decisions about how we participate. It's a great project, a great concept. Eugene and Damien, have I missed anything about how Creative Commons works at Dryden?
You probably understand more than we do.
So what Eugene has mentioned there, sort of indirectly, is that I started that, which is kind of a nice place to be. But what's happened is that the Dryden Experiment has gotten really very big, and a lot of folks are participating completely outside of my reach. Greta van der Rohe literally sends me an email and tells me that she published a book. And in fact, she might not next time. I don't know. But the universe is wide open and everybody's free to participate, and it's really, really cool. And we have a lot of fun with that. So what I did instead, I didn't want to fetter in the Dryden Experiment. I didn't want to fetter that Creative Commons. But at the same time, we were working with a lot of different authors at a lot of different skill levels. We were working with people who weren't interested in marketing or didn't understand marketing. And so what I and two other folks have done is started Dryden House, which is a little publishing company that exclusively provides services to people who are working on Dryden materials. So if you're writing a Dryden book and you need some editing, you can come to us, or if you want to work on some marketing, you can come to us. And we work to support only those authors that are working in the Dryden universe. We're 100% dedicated to building the vision. And what's happened is that science fiction universe was so successful and so much fun that we've started building other genres. We've started a steampunk genre. We published a book in our post-apocalypse genre last month. Lorelei, You'll Never Die by Laura Conrad. It's out in the market. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on your Kindle. You can buy it in iPhone, iBook, Nook, all of those sorts of places. Is the first book in our apocalypse genre. And what we are here tonight, we've also started a fantasy genre, although we don't have any materials out in it. And what we're here tonight is to find authors who are willing to work with us or who want to work with us to build the sort of foundational documents of a horror universe. And I'm going to give you a very small introduction to what I want to do for the horror universe, and then Eugene and Damien are going to talk more exhaustively. They've really done the background work to set up the horror universe. So what we've found is that at the same time that we sort of say, hey, we're wide open, just come in and do whatever you want, ta-da, it helps to provide some structure to folks to give them sort of anchor points. And what we want to do for our Nightmares environment is take in a set of stories that become sort of the foundational stories, the kind of anchor stories. And Eugene's going to explain to us here in a minute how very different stories in the horror genre are able to fit together and work together. He's written a very nice piece on that that's available on our Dryden Nightmares Facebook page, and he's going to talk about it here in a second. So what we're looking for is really sort of indeterminate length, short to mid, I suppose we would say, length short stories with strong environments and strong characters that can be sort of a basis for authors. We'll put that book into print. We use CreateSpace so that we're print on demand. We don't have to carry stock. We'll do an EPUB version both through Kindle and through Smashwords so that we can get the broadest distribution. And we'll market it with our marketing team. Tracy Vincent, who runs the Textual Love blog, is also my marketing editor. She's a dynamite person to work with and really good at what she does. We'll do ARCs and we'll do pre-release reviews. We'll do a cover reveal and a launch day blitz. We'll sort of do the whole shooting match, right? And those stories will be anchors, and Eugene's going to talk about that just in a second. The way we work financially is that we're not one of those vanity presses where you pay us for the editing and you pay us for the cover design and so on and so forth. We get right in the boat with you. We don't charge you anything at all up front. We also don't pay anything up front. What we do is we set out a shares a structure, and it works out roughly manufacturer cost and is taken out, and then 50% of the remaining money comes into Dryden House and 50% of the remaining money goes out to the authors. So we try to do a straight split. And of course that gets very strange when you've got 6 authors in the house and you're trying to figure out 33% of 13% of whatever. The sort of the short explanation of the money situation is don't do it for the money. If you're doing it for the money, we ain't really the right people for you. We don't make a lot of money doing what we do. We have a whole lot of fun and sort of try to subsidize ourselves with what we do. I actually bought a marketing campaign for Lorelei You'll Never Die. It was a monumental first for me, and I'm really frustrated with it because it's been less successful than our social network marketing that we do. But it is possible that we would do a little bit of paid advertising, but that's not what we're about. We're about building really cool environments and being successful and making some money, but yeah, okay, don't focus on that. So with that said, Eugene has set us up an environment in which an infinite number of different horror styles can be merged together entirely seamlessly. Eugene, explain how that miracle occurs.
All right. Well, within this, it's kind of like a multiverse I created. It's this. You have at the center of it is a planet or a universe. All these different universes, they can be very different. Some of them are just planets. Some of them are colossal universes, like we know. But the center, there is this one planet, and on the planet, it is straddled on 2 sides by this gigantic tree. And I mean absolutely colossal. I mean far bigger than anything you see on Earth, anything you can imagine, which is absolutely black. It's this black tree, and inside of its roots is this black, reddish-black poisonous substance that through sort of the roots and up to the branches spread out into space, beyond time, and go beyond time and space. And this poison, whatever, goes seeping through the universe and connects with with millions, billions upon other universes. And there are other trees in other universes that connect and link up, but really none of them are as big as the original two trees. And this first world where the two trees exist is really I'm trying to start writing some stories about this world. It is really dark. It is really twisted. Um, on one side, there's this very dark red forest. On the other side, there's this land full of bone cities and such. And but then so they go out and essentially kind of poison these other worlds, which leads to uh, all sorts of bad stuff happening. One thing is that there are lots of sort of gods and super monsters out there, super creatures out there. Again, we're just in the beginning. I mean, depending on how many people decide to join this, we end up having thousands of them. The key ones which I crave, there's one the universe is ruled by two specific beings, well, actually three to a certain extent, three beings. The first one is this being by the name of Jin Patago, and that's kind of what's the word, portmanteau or whatever of Jin means genie and Ptah, which is the Egyptian god of creation. So he literally is the genie of creation. It is this a gigantic creature, which we're not quite sure whether or not it's left a little nebulous whether it actually created the universe. In fact, I don't think it did, but I don't think in my mythology actually it didn't quite create it, but it helped to shape a lot of the universe. It is this thing that lives in this palace, this almost limitless palace of thousands of rooms, and you have to imagine all these jewels, just imagine wealth beyond wealth. It sits upon this throne, just wrapped in like 1,000 like robes, and there's this fiery, flaming crown on top. So that's
Eugene, I'm going to step in for just a second. We have a viewer who is watching us through Facebook. Hello, viewer who is watching us through Facebook. What I'm going to do is see if I can post the event notice or event location on the Hangout, or I'm sorry, on the YouTube comments. Okay, so the person who is watching us through Facebook, if you'd like to actually come on into the conversation, you can do so through the link that I just posted. All right, sorry about that, Eugene. Thank you very much.
sure thing. As I say, that is one of the rules of the universe. He rules basically all that which is seen. He is this basically all the areas outside of the veins and the portals that connect the different worlds. He rules that entire area. The second one, the sort of the guy it shares power with, or I don't say guy, it's not a guy at all. It's this creature called Agozad. It's literally made up of the poison. It is this big, black, gooey monster that is of limitless size, almost limitless size. It's red teeth and jaws, and it flows through the veins. And it's basically the ruler of, I call it the ruler of the shadows, so the ruler of sort of these dark areas of the portals and such, where Jin Patal can't go. Agozad can't go outside, or it's very difficult for it to go outside. It can't rule outside the portals. Jin Patal can't go inside the portal. So there's this stalemate where they basically rule these two sections of the galaxy, sections of like the multiverse. Then there's the third one, which is kind of a more nebulous creature, which I'm actually putting it as maybe possibly the creator god, called Avawa. And Avawa is the closest thing you'll get to a nice god who sort of ordered the universe and such before it all fell into chaos. I have not fleshed that character out very much. And then there's a fourth god, which I'm not putting as one of the ultra powerful leaders, but one I created for a story, sort of semi-prose poetry story I wrote called "Born of Cold Lights." It's called Thing of the Void, which is this black like almost like a living black hole creature that feeds on one of these Earths, and it just gradually expands. Unlike Agozad, and it's just this naked raw malice with no feeling, but extremely intelligent. And So sometime when Born of Cold Light gets published, you'll get to see that. And at the core, one thing is he's got um, these deities, oftentimes it's difficult for them to communicate with mortals. They can do it, but because they're so powerful, they try to do it, you'll kill them. So if they want to communicate something, they send forth their messenger, which is a being by the name of Otoyanju, which is the first story I ever wrote for this. It is this individual dressed in a sort of a West African shaman outfit, and I'm going to expand upon him later on in the mythology, but he's basically the voice of the gods. If the gods want to say something to certain persons, Otoyanju will be sent. Although the thing about Otoyanju is that he rarely, if ever, actually speaks himself. He speaks through other people. He take over other people to talk through him, to talk through. So those at this point are the big deities that I have in place right now. I have some others coming up. I think there are one or two. Actually, there are three more in the primer. If you read the primer, one of them is a worm creature that sits on a planet. There's this one woman that lives in a garden called Skullflower. So you'll see a whole bunch of these. And my the thing about this universe is that it's horror, but it's almost unlimited what type of horror you can do. The idea is that the planets which are connected to the big branches, you might say, the big colossal branches where lots of poison's coming in, they're going to be the really weird ones. They're going to be the ones with all the monsters, the supernatural stuff going on in them. The smaller the portals are to these worlds, the more basically like what our world is going to be like. None of these worlds completely cut off. None of them completely come off. But the ones with really tiny portals where not much can get through, those are the ones you see for us. Those would be the kind of worlds you see stuff like crime adventures happening, and mobsters and stuff like that. So very much similar to our world. There is a tiny connection. And I have said,
let me jump in there. What we wanted to do is we wanted to be able to tell any kind of horror. So if someone comes along and they say, "Hey, I write serial killers. Hey, I write zombies. Hey, I like ghost stories," how do we integrate those? And Eugene's solution, and it's really a very brilliant solution, is that the center of the multiverse is inherently warped with this poison of nightmares. And when he's describing different portals and whether or not there's large connections or small connections, he's sort of describing how weird your world is when you come in and start working with us. So if you're bringing in a horror world that has basically human elements but only a little bit of sort of supernatural or preternatural, that's a world that's not closely related to the tree, and the poison doesn't bleed heavily. On the other hand, you could write a really, really weird world with dark gods and demons and very H.P. Lovecraft. Well, that's closer to the tree.
right.
And the idea is to be able to take whatever you're writing and have a home for it in our common horror storytelling universe. I'm sorry, Eugene, I just wanted to stop and get in there for a minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. No, that's excellent. Yeah, if you want to write horror, any type of variety of horror you want to write, go for it. We're more than willing. I know the stuff I've been saying is very supernatural, very H.P. Lovecraft, King in Yellow type stuff. But this is, you can write anything. You can write stuff like, if you want to write something like the CSI type stories, that's perfectly fine. So with no supernatural stuff whatsoever.
So
Go ahead.
let's take that as sort of a segue point then, because Damien writes a very different style of horror. So the other sort of core person besides Eugene who's really come in and is a big fan of horror for us is Damien. And Damien, what I'd like to hear is sort of your take, where you're going with it, what sort of stories you're looking to work with, what your experience working with Creative Commons has been. Both you and Eugene have worked on a story in science fiction for us now, or in our science fiction universe. You want to just kind of pick up the narrative and talk about how you relate to horror and how you relate to the Creative Commons and what you're looking for in this project.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of the Creative Commons, I just recently started working with you guys on the Dryden stuff, but so far it's been great. There's just the framework of the Creative Commons allows everybody to know exactly what's going on, and once you get that stuff out of the way, then it's really just, okay, how do we make this awesome? We have all of our ideas, we can all work together, exchange wherever we want, or not, depending on preference. It's not restrictive in any way. It's all it takes is the willingness to know that what you're doing is part of something bigger, and if you want to share that, then all you have to do is opt in. That's
Right
really
on.
it's pretty
Yep.
simple, and
Yep. Absolutely.
that makes it really easy to just pick up and go. Which and I think um, in terms of the horror for Dryden Nightmares, I think it's a good fit, the Creative Commons, because you can dream up these really nasty, horrifying things. Horror is something that uh, you get the sense that even in the stories where the evil or the terrible thing, whatever it is, even if it gets destroyed, it's still out there somewhere. And I think, there's always that room to take what you've seen, what really creeps you out, what makes you go, ugh, that you can put that somewhere else in a different setting, in a different time period. So, I think horror is really good for that, for the Creative Commons. It, it gives you so much room to work. And what I'm working on, I got a couple different things. One is I don't have a title for it yet, but it's a story about this guy who finds an old draft of a novel in his basement. Uh, and he was cleaning out his basement, a bunch of his dad's old stuff. He finds this draft. It's an unfinished book, and what happens is he starts reading through it. He gets really into it, and he wonders why his dad never finished the book. And he sort of gets this idea that he'll try to rewrite it himself, basically just take what's there and finish it. And it becomes an obsession for him, and eventually he realizes that the further he gets into writing this novel, there's something happening. He's having these weird dreams, and he's beginning to know things, feel things that he shouldn't. And then, the gist of it is, by writing this book, he's actually bringing forth a very, very dangerous, powerful creature or god thing from another world. He's bringing it into his own world just by writing this. And he realizes that he can't stop. No matter what he tries to do, the book it has this control over him because he's too far into it. So then, then it's about how does he stop it? Does he stop it? And what are the consequences either way? So that's one of those worlds where the elements of the nightmare are sort of hidden in the background, and only certain people are aware of them because they have these horrifying experiences. But for the most part, it's similar to the world that we live in, where certain people believe in these things, they talk about them, but the vast majority of people, they don't want to think about it, or they've never seen anything that makes them believe it's real. So it's not a thing. And then my other story is I'm working on a serial, and it's sort of, I think Joel called it a goth western. It's like kind of like a pulpy horror western, and that's like, I would say, maybe the middle ground between that story I just talked about and some of the stuff that Eugene has been working on. It's got western elements and some of the tropes of that twisted a little bit, but it's also got some of the really weird horror stuff. I almost don't want to talk about it because anything I say will make it sound kind of lame compared to what I'm thinking. But
Have confidence, Damien.
well, it's hard to explain. I can't make it sound cool. But it's going to be really good. I'm working on that. That one's called "Take Care, Death Walks Here," and I think that's going to be really cool.
I've seen some elements from that one, and I will verify it's a genre bender, and it is very cool. So what we want to do going ahead from here, Eugene has written us a very nice sort of start and an introduction. It's available on the Facebook page. Anybody that emails me or messages me, and I'll give you that information in just a second. I'll send a free copy of it to you. You can take a look and see what you think. Eugene's got a story that he's going to participate with, definitely, and then maybe some others. Damien's got a story that he's going to participate with, and definitely, and maybe some others. But we really like to work with new authors. We really like to see what's amazing and fresh out there. we are extremely small. The people we work with are our friends. Tracy and Damien get on chats in the middle of the night. My marketing editor and Damien, and I drop in and I can't even figure out what they're talking about. They're having these deep, intense discussions about the important things in life, and that's the way we like to work. And so we like to work with people who are new, who are inventive, who have a different voice, who are developing their craft. And we'd like to bring, I don't know, 3, 5 other authors into this project to work with us, and really build a really awesome set of short stories, vaguely linked, because we know that the universe is in fact deeply bent and twisted, and all of the madness of the universe, all of the nightmares of the universe spill out in different forms and different ways and different planes of existence or realities, however you want to look at it. But very much this is a place where you can say, well, this is a story I'm writing and I think it's pretty kick-ass. And we'll go, yeah, we think that's pretty kick-ass. Come on. We're more interested and more concerned about, can you work with us under the Creative Commons? Will you develop with us? Will you work with us as we grow? So what I want to start doing, and we'll kind of do this as we find enough people, I'm going to keep working with folks, Damien and Eugene, on this project, and other authors as they come in on this project. And at some point we'll start having weekly meetings, maybe Wednesday evenings or Friday evenings or whatever, when everybody's kind of got a project on the table and we can kind of talk it through and support each other and help each other. We are just finishing a project called Rise of the European in the science fiction universe, and we had just an ass-kicking good time, and people really got to be friends. And we had one of our authors got caught in the wildfires out in the American Northwest, right in the middle of it, and sort of dropped out of sight. And we're like calling him on the phone to make sure he's okay. You know, we're good peeps. We really enjoy what we do. We enjoy working together. What I'm going to do, I think, right now is I'm going to solicit questions or comments from Eugene and Damien, make sure I'm not missing anything important. I'm going to give you our contact information, and then we're going to let this conversation go. It is September the 5th as we're writing this. I would like to maybe next week, which is, September the 13th, sort of be looking at people that we might like to work with and talking to folks who might be interested. So get in touch with me. I'm about to give you a half dozen different ways to contact me. But first of all, let's make sure that Eugene and Damien, did I miss anything? Did I misrepresent anything? Am I just full of shit? Give it to me like it is.
I think it works pretty well. I mean, like you say, we really want other people to come in and start playing with this stuff. And
right on.
Like how Joel said about being vaguely linked. They can be vaguely linked as long as they're in the universe. You don't have to mention anything.
Right.
Although, on the other hand, if you see a story I like, go ahead and write the sequel. Go ahead and write the direct sequel. I mean, write the second where my story ends. You can pick it up right as it goes. I mean, go right ahead.
Right.
If I write a sequel at the same time, we can talk about it. It could be one of them could be a dream. I don't know, but again, play with whatever you want.
Right. The Creative Commons model is really awesome. Sort of the worst thing that we ever say to somebody is that's not canon. You know, in the science fiction universe, for example, we know the next several thousand years of the history of the Earth, and if somebody came along and said, well, I like this, but I think I'm going to have the Earth blow up in 2153, we go, okay, well, that's cool. It's not canon, but it's cool. But otherwise, you're very free to riff. In Eugene's example, if we came across 2 different stories that followed the same character, we might well never declare one of them canon. You know, one of the things that we say about who we are is we are the place where the fan artist becomes the lead artist. And if we saw 2 different stories about the same character and there wasn't some pressing need for us to decide one of them was real and the other one wasn't, or one of them was canon and the other one wasn't, well, we publish them both. You know, let's go. Let's develop this. Let's take it on. The other thing is that you don't have to work with Dryden House. If you come in and you see what we're doing in horror and you're interested in it and you like it and you want to develop something on your own and publish it on your own, do it. Do it. Put it under the Creative Commons. Put the Creative Commons Dryden logo on it. Let us know you've done it. You're free to do that. The worst we'll ever say about it is, yeah, it wasn't canon. And in a horror multiverse, how do you even control canon? I mean, it's like Star Trek resets of the story. We don't know. There was an alternate universe where that's what happened. It's like a superhero film or something. We just keep jumping realities. So that's where we are. Damien, did you have any other feedback?
No, I think we summed it up pretty good. I would just echo what you said, that there's, you know, there's so much room to do whatever you want to do, whatever kind of horror. Um, you know, there's a place for it, and it can be, at least in my opinion, it can be as messed up as you want it to be. That's, the level of horror it's up to you.
Right
You can
on.
do psychological thriller stuff. You can do, flesh-eating monsters, whatever the hell you want to do. That's what makes it fun for me.
Right.
Right. We try to stay away from political parties because that's just too scary. But otherwise, it's pretty wide open. All right. Well, we're about to wrap this up, so let me tell you how to get a hold of me. The best way to get a hold of me is drydenexperiment@yahoo.com. That's DRYDENEXPERIMENT. Oh, it's almost longer than a breath. Good God. And then almost exactly the same, drydenexperiment.com is our website. It's only very minimally developed at this point, but it is out there. The place where you find the most of us hanging out is the Dryden author and artist page on Facebook. Dryden Nightmares has its own fan page on Facebook, as do our other genre. But if you just kind of want to get to know the peeps and see what we're like and see the things that we chat about when we're hanging out on Facebook together, the Dryden author and artist page is the page to go for that. This video will start circulating sort of as an advertising video to try to drum up some folks. And hopefully by the 13th or so, Eugene and Damien and I will be talking to some awesome new folks and getting this project on the way. Gentlemen, if you'll stay with me, I'm going to go ahead and kill the broadcast and we can chat a little bit afterwards. All right, well, this is Joel. I'm Joel. This is my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots. And this has been Dryden Nightmares Recruiting. I guess last moment. We plan on publishing in 2016, but we don't have a date, obviously. All right, thank you, guys. I'll see you around.